Hey, everybody, and welcome to another episode of And Action Filmmaking Podcast. I'm Tommy DiNucci, and as always, I'm here with my co host, Mikey Messier. And this week, we're doing something a little bit different. We are going to do our first ever And Action watch along. We're actually going to check out Mike's new short film that's been ripping up the festival circuit. So we're excited about that. But before we get into that, it's the holiday season. I hope everyone's having a very nice ramp up as Santa gathers up all of his shit with his elves at the North Pole and they make their departure to spread joy, festivities, and presents to all the good boys and girls. Mike, how are you, buddy? Tell us a little bit about this short film that we're about to watch, and let's hear what's new in the world of Mikey.
Well, Tommy, things are good. I did do a little bit of a Christmas film tradition. I went to see Die Hard, which I guess the big, pop culture meme poll is Die Hard a Christmas movie? I'd kind of argue it is. I enjoyed it, Tommy. It was on a Dolby Digital screen. This is the original, not a remake and not a reboot or a revamp. The original 1988 on the Dolby big screen, but it was a lot of fun last Friday night, and that movie still looks great. And what I liked about Die Hard, Tommy, is that the tempo and the pace of it, and so I enjoyed that. And I kind of went to see it, Tommy, just out of respect to Bruce Willis. He's not doing so great with his health, and what an icon for '80s and '90s people. But for me, buddy, this A Distance from Avalon, When the Dying and the Dead Reunite. As you know, I've written the novel version. My buddy Nazar Germanov, a proud Ukrainian, did the cover art. This project has been bouncing around for quite a while. I mean, as you saw, the Disregard the Vampire, a Mike Messier documentary, planted the seeds. I rewrote the script as A Distance from Avalon, as a screenplay, a stage play, and the novel version. And then what I did, buddy, was I extracted some of the words for a short film about 3 years ago called Seduction of Distance, which I acted in myself. I filmed it myself with a mobile phone. And then basically about a year and a half later, Tommy, I said, you know what, I really like to do this again, but this time get an actress to play the role of Heartbreak, which is basically for lack of a better term, vampire mistress. So I did a casting call on a website you're probably familiar with, Actors Access. I had never used Actors Access as a casting director or as a producer or director before, so
Well,
that
hold
was an
on, buddy.
experience.
I love you for jumping into this, but I asked you what time it is, and you're telling me how to make the watch. Let's just slow it down so we can digest this for everybody. So, what we're going to watch today is basically a refined version of something that you did on a much bigger level. Is that right?
No, it's actually a no. It's a proof of concept, um, 5 minute video for a feature film script. It's also a book trailer. What I was saying before, Tommy, is that I had filmed a previous installment, so to speak, starring myself as the actor, but that was just with a phone camera, literally. So this one had more of a production value. My buddy Tim Labonte came down from Rhode Island to Florida. We filmed it. I got an
Wow.
actress to play. I got an actress to play the role. That was the process I was getting into. Was I used? I think you've probably used Actor Access as an actor to apply for something, or probably Stephen Edwards or other people in our audience have. And I actually kind of said, let me use this tool, this website, to do the casting. And that's how we got our actress, Jessica Caradero. So I was just kind of going through some of the steps of it while the audience is kind of filing in, because I'm sure that some people, they see the notifications on YouTube that we're doing the show, so they pop in. So
Yeah, no, we'll gather up that audience. Right now, we got Kim Kaling with us, as always. What's up, Kim? How you doing? She says hello. And Kim is always supporting the show here. Yeah, Mike, I'm excited to see this one. You know, you have made a nice little niche of making a lot of these short films and telling these stories, and I think that it's great that one thing that you've done here that I'm most I don't want to say impressed with, but I just think I want to say it's like you made a great move. Now, I'm a victim of this myself, but I think sometimes a lot of filmmakers will go back to the well casting wise and they'll cast actors that they've worked with before and they'll cast actors that their friend knows, or actors within their, we'll call it, community, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I do appreciate how you like to step outside of the box of the standard casting fare and check out some new actors that might not be necessarily from your neck of the woods, but hey, they're willing to travel to you and be a part of what you got going on. So again, this is And Action. It's a filmmaking show. We're here to watch. If you're just tuning in now, we're going to watch Mike's short film. And the great thing about this is we're also going to try to learn from Mike too. And Mike's going to go through some of the things that he's excited about, what he did right, and maybe where he went wrong, where he could have zigged when he zagged instead. But yeah, Mike, I think that right off the bat, as you tell me the process of casting, I think it's great that you opened things up and didn't just go to one of the usual suspects.
Yeah, thanks, Tommy. And I'll tell you, kind of some of that, buddy, was by design. I had moved to Florida here in Jacksonville, September, October of 2019. The pandemic hit us 4 or 5 months later. I kind of had all these high hopes of making all these film and theater friends, within a year or so of being here. And the reality, buddy, is that didn't quite happen. Just the pandemic kind of shut everybody down socially. And for someone who's new to a new state, that wasn't very easy. So I became much more independent and reliant on myself to entertain myself, so to speak. So when it came to the casting, Tommy, I really didn't have many actors or actresses in this case to go to, and I wasn't in New England, and I didn't really have the funds or want to spend the funds to fly someone from New England. And there's several women that I would have cast in New England if I was there, but I didn't have the money or with the, to fly them in, so to speak. So I said, and it's also kind of time for me to make some connections down here. If I'm going to live here and work here, I might as well make something happen. The Actors Access, Tommy, was actually a really good tool, and I think it's called, backstage casting is what you have to get onto, and they make you actually take a course, believe it or not, to use
Just
the
make sure when
website.
you're typing that in, don't type in back page. That's something completely different.
Right. That's like the page 3 girls in Europe. So
Yeah.
with that, Tommy, one thing I learned off the bat was that they do a bit of vetting themselves. They make you submit a driver's license or some type of ID to prove that you're legit. They don't want any scammers or non-legitimate people on there. And then the backstage casting makes you take a course. Like you have to take a Zoom course in live time,
Wow.
and it's not hard, but they want to vet people. And I've been learning this left and right, Tommy. There's so many things that we take for granted with the internet, and if you think about it, without proper vetting, and sometimes people say, well, why do I have to give my information? Why do I have to give my ID? It's not because of you. It's because of whatever bad guy or bad woman is out there
Oh, of
trying to.
course, man. Are you kidding me? Let's be honest. This sounds like the plot to a Lifetime movie, but I can imagine there's a lot of sick motherfuckers out there that would say, "Yes, we are casting actresses, ages 18 to 23. Please come to this dark warehouse for the casting call." Yeah, that's potential for very dangerous scenarios. So I'm glad to hear that Actors Access has this kind of level of security because I've been there before, man. I remember being like 18 years old, and there was like one of those like sketchy like modeling club things, and I remember like walking into some shady warehouse. I'm 18. I'm like this little pretty boy walking in, and I'm looking around, and I'm like seeing a lot of sketchy characters, and I'm looking at like this is a modeling agency. Like what the
Right.
fuck is going on here? So yeah, I think it's great that they have that, and I'm excited to see these actors in action. Scott, what's up, brother? Thank you for joining us. We appreciate you tuning back in. It's good to be back. This is our second show back now, and it's fun to be back in the swing of things. As you can see, we can tell it's almost showtime, or we're nearing like right around the quarter part of the show. The sun will start to blast right in my eyes, but we don't mind it. It's a little bit of a lighting effect, We're gaffing the show here. In just a few minutes, we're gonna play Mike's movie, and we're gonna just kind of take it in and watch it, and then after we'll be able to have a chance to pick Mike's brain and discuss the film. So, Mike, you shot this film. Could you tell us, numbers are one of those sensitive things. Sometimes people get nervous, but Do you mind telling us what the budget on this movie was?
Well, buddy, I promised the actress, when I passed, it's actually called Breakdown Services to get it totally correct. So if people are looking to cast with Actors Access, it's called Breakdown Services. Um, the what I posted was the payment would be $150 for the actress, and that included a couple of Zoom rehearsals, whatever process they went through for their audition tape, and the payment for the actual day of the shoot. The day of the shoot, I said, would be one day, and I said it would actually be like half a day, like a 6 hour thing, which it turned out to be about 4.5, 5 hours. Um, the rehearsal, I've discovered, Tommy, that if you can get people to Zoom rehearse, Zoom, what we're doing here, I think me and
Sure.
Jessica use StreamYard. That's such a great way to save money and
Absolutely.
you know, and then I think the biggest expense, to be honest, buddy, was probably Tim, Tim Labonte, the editor, filmmaker, friend of mine, collaborator, uh, cinematographer. He drove from Rhode Island to Florida. He didn't give me a bunch of receipts for his gas. His parents owned a condo in Tampa Beach, Florida. I should say Vero Beach, Florida, and his parents basically provided the location. We used this condo as the studio, but Tim brought his camera. He brought his slider, his green screen, his
Well,
tripod, himself. I mean, Tim's a one-man gang when it comes to filming. I've been working with this guy uh, longer than some of our audience has been alive, quite frankly. And his involvement, I mean, was probably worth 10 grand easily, but or maybe 50 grand, or priceless, because it wouldn't have happened without him.
so
And then all the
basically, this was a big favor thing from Tim.
Yeah, and Tim and I enjoy making films together. We've been doing it for a long time, so it's kind of a creative thing for him. But yeah, it's a big favor from him to me. And I ended up giving Jessica a little bit of a bonus, just because she worked hard, the actress. And Tim, I bought a bunch of dinners, but he bought me some dinners as well. So it was a very reciprocal thing.
So
But we
if,
do it.
if you were to just cut to it and say, all in, this movie cost Mike Messier X dollars, what would you say it was?
I'd say it cost me out of pocket less than 1,500.
Okay, great. So everybody that's about to watch this goes to show you what you can do with, 1,500 bucks and utilizing relationships, taking a look at what you have at your disposal and making it work.
Yeah.
So very good stuff. Well, we're gonna just wait another beat or two for another couple people in the audience to join us. But let's not forget, folks can watch this anytime on my YouTube channel. So if you haven't already, thanks for watching along, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button. We've got a lot of really cool things going on right now. I'm just going to take a minute to dive into some of the exciting fun on the horizon. But the year is winding down. The strike is over. The official SAG, I don't know if you call it a bill, but SAG contract was ratified, voted upon. So it's a green light for Screen Actors Guild actors to go back to work, and that means that hopefully I'll have a really exciting announcement in the coming weeks about a film that I've been working very hard to get off the ground, actually since before the strike, and now here we are, and it's kind of crazy. It's all coming very close to actually happening now. So that said, we'll get into that a little bit later, but I need to shut my curtain so that I look like the heat miser right now, which is very kind of seasonally appropriate joke. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to play this movie. I'm going to quickly shut my curtain so that this sun issue isn't a problem when we come back. And then we're just going to talk about the movie. And again, if you're not watching along live, people can watch this show anytime. And we also suggest that you go back and watch some of the back episodes too. They're all on my YouTube channel. If you just check them on out, and action, we've got them numbered episodes 1 through, this is number 68. And
Wow.
you'll see a lot of, we're on 68, buddy. And, you'll see a lot of topics that might kind of, if you're a filmmaker, if you're an actor, writer, director, producer, they might tickle your fancy a little bit. So check them on out. And okay, we're gonna go play this movie. Mike, give us the title of the movie before I hit play.
Well, it's Many Keys, The Heartbreak Monologue, and it's a monologue derived from my novel screenplay stage play, A Distance from Avalon, When the Dying and the Dead Reunite.
All right, well, there you have it. Let's get this thing playing.
There are many rooms in this house. Many rooms, many keys. This is a cold room. It is the warmest room in a very cold house. And yet, it is cold. And I am cold. And I am alone. We don't get out much. Nothing is more than what it seems. If you are merely but nothing, bigger eyes see what nothing is. I remember things too. I remember a life I may have had, and a family I may have loved, and a choice I may have made. A vision of a future. A simple future, yes, but a future all to my own. And I gave that future up. For this odd reality. This odd, strange dream. I made my choice for this disease. I don't like mirrors. I'm not myself. Perhaps then I don't exist. Perhaps then I just be a vision in the eye of some madman. I have many secrets. More than you could imagine. Some things you must discover for yourself. Yes, there are many things in our home. Many things to break. To good times. Sad memories, yes, but good times now. We rejoice and sing. Burn my hand in hell. I am loving you. I'm loving you so much that it hurts. Everybody.
All right. Very nicely done. Vero Beach, Florida, edited and commentate. Produced by Mike Messier and Tim Lamante. And in the camera, still pictures. All right, buddy. Well, let me tell you something. That was very nicely done. And I gotta say, I got a lot to say about it. I'm excited to break it down and dive in. And I'll also say this, Mike, thanks for schooling me to this. Mike smartened me up to how you actually play videos here on StreamYard. I'm not exactly the most tech savvy guy, but with Mike's tutelage, we can move mountains here. So we were able to play this, and I think that this is a really fun format. I enjoyed doing that. I'm gonna recommend we do this more on the show. We can play some clips. If you're down with that, give me a hell yeah in the comments, because we got all sorts of fun stuff that we can play and show and tell and talk about. So yeah, Mike, great job. Right off the bat, a few things that I want to say that then I'll, hand off the mic to you. Kind of funny, Wednesday is such a popular show now. This has some serious Wednesday vibes to me, based off of the character Wednesday Addams and the Addams Family. And it's funny, this actress, she had a real Wednesday kind of vibe to her. And I almost feel like, in my mind, this is the business guy in me. I'm like, well, is there a way Mike can almost like market this as like a companion piece or like a fan piece? Like, like Wednesday's cousin, Thursday, check her out. And then, but hashtag Wednesday, but it had some cool, like classic, macabre horror, kind of vibes to it, almost like some kind of, like I don't want to say H.P. Lovecraft, but had like a vintage feel to it. So I think you did a great job. And also what I love about it is, Mike mentioned earlier, if you're just tuning in now, Mike shot this whole thing in one day. Actually a half a day, right? Took you about 6 hours.
Yeah, it was less than 6 hours. By the time Jessica showed up, credit to her mom who brought her to the set, met me and Tim, once again, vetting, making sure we're legit, and it was all on the up and up. And then Jessica and I and Tim, just the three of us, worked for about, I would say, 4.5, 5 hours. And the real, as you know, Tommy, the real thing with filmmaking is editing. And especially with something like this, with the fact that we filmed this all on green screen and the photography was used as the background rather than filming on location somewhere. That was the real creative challenge. And to give both Tim and Jessica their props, first with Jessica, she had this thing. She really had the character buddy with her audition tape. Her audition tape was excellent. And so I really didn't have to direct, as far as like I normally can get in there with an actor or an actress and really channel them, but she was kind of ready. And like I said, my buddy Tim always brings his A+ game with the crew, the one-man crew, so to speak. So that made my job easier,
Yeah, I like that. I think this is another example of, kind of what I was getting at before was, you shot this all in basically a half a day and, varied shots, basically an actor up against the green screen, but it still feels like you got a lot more out of it because it's almost like we're getting to see this character in many different locations. So nice tool there that a lot of filmmakers can kind of, take a page out of Mike's book where it's like, all right, well, if you don't have the means, the budget, the time, the whatever limitation you may be feeling or up against, I should say, if you don't have the means to, this is a nice way you can put your actor wherever you want them. And yeah, it's going to look stylized. And yes, they're not going to be able to actually navigate the space necessarily. But for something like this, it does the job just as well in kind of keeping the eye interested as we kind of pop around. Because, let's face it, man, we're living in the TikTok generation. We're living in an era where people, and I'm not just talking about young people. Yes, the young people are born into this shit, so it's even easier to get at. But people across the board are now geared towards watching content in a 15-second shot, in a 30-second shot. I mean, anything more than a minute, it's kind of like we all do this, right? You're scrolling through videos and you look at the time code and you're like, oh shit, this thing's over a minute. I don't know if I got a minute for you, brother, but I got 15 seconds. So that being said, this is just kind of how our mentalities are nowadays. Some filmmakers say, fuck that, I'm not going to change the way I make movies because of the TikTok generation. And then other filmmakers say, well, no, I actually am going to lean into this and vary my shots more, cut more cuts, more, jumping around, like make it so that these people that are used to seeing a lot of movement get that movement that they want, so that they're not watching the movie and doing this at the same time. And
Right.
they look up occasionally. I mean, I'm guilty of this. The other night I watched a whole movie, and I don't know that I took in like 20 minutes of it because I was like just fucking around on my phone the whole time. Between I'm playing my big thing, total sidebar, I'm playing a lot of chess now lately, Mike.
Good for you. That's great.
Playing a lot of chess on the computer. Now I play against the computer. I don't play against people. I'm not at that point yet. But the computer, I'm on at level 6 of 10, which is considered expert. And let me tell you something, brother. I've lost 13 games in a row now, and I just can't beat this motherfucking computer. But I'm going to keep trying. So my point is, they're literally playing games on their phone while they're watching your movie. So if you're not jumping around, if you're not really keeping things interesting visually, very easy for us to go astray and break that phone out or just not fucking pay attention. So I think you did a great job with that, Mike. Also, another thing I think that you nailed, and this is another, filmmakers that are trying to get out there and make their first short film or a short film in general. It was very clean in its presentation. And what I mean by that is the titles were clean and neat. They weren't trying to do too much. The sound was very crisp. There was no bullshit with the sound. I don't need to sound like a broken record here. I know I've said this on the show before, but one of the first signs of an amateur filmmaker that people will recognize is weak sound. If you have poor sound quality, again, the average person might not be able to recognize right off the bat, like, hey, why does that sound so shitty? But they'll just know that it's not a pro level piece. So really great job at just kind of like, I always say like, the content itself of a film, it's subjective. What's good is subjective. You might like chocolate, I might like vanilla, someone else likes strawberry. We're never going to agree on what we like.
Yeah.
But what we can all agree on is that shitty quality is fucking shitty absolute. Everybody hates a shitty quality whatever. So, again, we're doing this show because we want to celebrate Mike's film. We want to learn a little bit too. And I think, what we can learn right there is you might not be into the dark. This film has like a dark, poetic kind of vibe to it. You might not be into that. That might not be your thing, but you can watch this and at least it's got the presentational, the qualities for the presentation are there. It sounds great. It's crisp. It's clean. So I think that's the lesson there. Like no matter what your content is, just always make sure that you have that presentation of quality where, okay, I feel like I'm watching a movie now. I don't feel like I'm just watching some piece of shit that somebody posted on their Facebook.
Yeah. Yeah, good point, Tommy. And like I said before, Tim really deserves the lion's share of the credit because he's been doing this for 20 or 25 years. He went to Rhode Island College and did communications classes and all that good stuff. So he's honed his craft. He went to Savannah College of Art and Design for a while. For me, buddy, if I were to compare this to the one I was talking about where I did it myself on my phone, the quality of this one that we just watched is 1,000 times better because I actually had a crew and I had a collaborator and it wasn't just me standing on a dock filming myself.
And you're recording sound off of a sound mixer and a mic rather than off of your phone, which is always going to be leaps and bounds better.
Yeah, and there's a thing to be said, Tommy, like, during the pandemic when it was just grab a mobile phone, iPhone, and shoot something, that standard kind of got lowered. But as we get out of pandemic, as we did, and as we continue to get out of the pandemic era, I think those standards are going back up again for everybody, right? So we don't have that crutch, myself included, or basically talking about myself as a YouTube guy. Can't just say, well, it's the pandemic, I couldn't get a crew or I couldn't get help.
No, you're seeing
Um,
it more and more. I mean, a lot of YouTubers, the big YouTubers, you'll see they'll have that little, it looks like a little square, little plastic square, and they'll either clip it to their shirt or they'll clip it to their hat. I've seen guys do, and it's just the microphone because you need that quality sound. I'm telling you, it's so important. Um, so yeah, Mike, I love this. You put it together, real quick. Well, what would you say? And I'm sure it was worked on sporadically, as often projects like this are. But if you were to stack it up from, say, the day you prepped it, shot it, all the way through post, how many days do you think it took to finish this project altogether? We talking a few
well,
weeks?
man, it's stretched out because the editing Tim and I had to do for the most part over Zoom. So we filmed it in August of 2022. We didn't have it completely edited and finished until early December of 2023. The reason for such a delay, Tommy, is we had to edit like this, like you and I are doing, basically
Sure.
through. I think we use Zoom. So the fact
But
that I
again,
wasn't.
let's not discourage the people out there
No,
that
I
are
understand.
a year.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm saying if you were to stack up the time, like let's say you guys worked on this like a full-time job, how long do you think the process would have been?
that's a great question. I think okay, I'll put it this
And you
way.
can say, we
Probably
can say
probably about probably about 30 days. And I'd say
okay.
that the actual filming was only a day. Me and Jessica doing rehearsals was probably 2 days. The effort of me, let's count the effort of me going through all the audition tapes. There was basically 100 audition tapes that came in.
Wow.
And choosing Jessica, I got some feedback from Kim Kaling and from Tim about it came down to two actresses. The other actress in that was the runner-up, so to speak. She was actually a minor celebrity. So I went with the non-minor celebrity, Jessica, who's kind of a newcomer here.
You don't
I
have
went
to
with
give us the name of the person, but in what avenue of celebrity did she minor in?
she was a former AEW and NXT wrestler.
Okay. Okay. Well, that's
And
cool. Hey, we've all
she
talked
was
about, our love for working with pro wrestlers.
and she was great too, and I would definitely like to work with her again in the future. But Jessica just kind of nailed this, and like you said, the Wednesday Addams is a great comparison, Tommy, because that's come to my mind several times. And Jessica, who is quite young, but she kind of has that old soul with her acting. She worked with an acting coach just for the audition, which
That's
showed
great.
her dedication. And but I think total, Tommy, I'd say about 30 days because the editing was probably 23 or 24 of those 30 days because a lot of work went into the sound design. We had Tony Caramadre as our composer as usual. I mean, I worked with him to get the music. I was up in Rhode Island in Woonsocket in November of 2022. I saw you then too, buddy, for the shoot of
Sure.
I think the collective. And I worked with the composer and with Tim while I was up in New England in November of 2022. And I remember this clearly, Tommy. I was bouncing back and forth from Tony, the composer's house in Warwick, to Tim, the editor's house in Woonsocket, driving all around, trying to get as much of this stuff as we could do. But then, of course, like I said, it took a long time to edit because of the work involved.
Well, you did a terrific job. I think it's something that you can be very proud of. And here's something that, I always tell filmmakers when they're hesitant or when they want to jump onto something, it's like, look, you know, Mike did this whole thing. If you stretch it all out, yeah, it's one thing, that's a year. But if you really were to just pound on something for like a month straight, you could put something like this together. And then the longevity you get beyond that is, Mike, and just go into this briefly. But now you're doing the whole film festival circuit with this movie, and the movie has a whole nother life. So tell us a little bit about that.
Well, it's already won award from a great group in India. They gave us best micro short film. Sitan Avasal International Film Festival in India. I hope I said that right. Sitan Avasal International Film Festival gave us best micro short, which basically means 5 minutes and under. That was one thing, Tommy. Doing the film festival thing. I know that a lot of film festivals have divisions for 5 minutes and under. and we really tried our best and was able to get this at 4 minutes and 59 seconds. You know what I mean? So
No.
that was a consideration, and I've sent it out to about 20 festivals, and just like I said, man, this was just finished about a month ago, so we're still sending this out.
Well, it's really terrific stuff, especially if you're into the kind of the spooky stuff, but not just spooky, not just creepy. This is kind of like a more intellectual, highbrow kind of old school vintage horror, which is kind of fun. Let's take a look at some of these comments here. Ariana, what's up, Ariana? Ariana says, "Hello, all. Made it. Glad you just made it in time for the screening." And she says, "Woo, great job, Mike." Yeah, Mike, it really was terrific. And Kim, hell yeah. Really cool to hear that Kim had a little something to do with helping you make your casting decision. Jessica is a fan as well.
I think that's the actress. I think that's Jessica Caradero, who played Heartbreak. I think that's her. I could be wrong.
Oh, cool. Well, she gives it a woo. And Kim says, "I used to be really good at chess. Maybe I'll check out the online version too." You should, Kim. All I did was I took out my phone, I typed in my apps, chess, and boom, there it came up. I'll shoot you a message of the one that I have. It's very easy and fun, and the computer is vicious, like very hard to beat. But that's what makes it fun. Jessica says, "Big props to Mike. The book is phenomenal. And if this is Jess, the actress in the movie,
It is.
you did a terrific job. So congratulations to you on your hard work in this movie." Charlie, what's up, Charlie? Charlie says, "Hi, guys. Great to be here." Well, it's great to see you here. We just checked out Mikey's short film, and I hope it inspires some of you to go out there. And again, Mike said that he did this whole thing with $1,500, and but he did it the right way. It's kind of cool to know that Mike did this with $1,500, but he still used a reputable casting site. He still has high quality sound. Everything was on point. So, I think the take home from this is utilize the relationships that you have, and don't be afraid to spend a little bit of your money. I mean, hey, $1,500 still is $1,500. That's not like a couple $100. It's still, especially around the holidays. I bet you a lot of people this time of year could use an extra $1,500 for their Christmas party fund, for the old holiday fund. So, again, I don't mean to poo-poo $1,500. It's definitely a significant chunk of dough to spend on anything. But the reality is, if you're investing in yourself as a filmmaker, it's really not that much money, because we go back to the longevity of these projects and how they live on, and how, Mike made that movie. It gave him and Mike, I don't want to speak for you, but I'm sure it was a entertaining process. I'm sure that it was, fun. We love doing this, right?
Yeah.
You enjoyed the process, right?
Yeah, the process was great, especially the human relationships. Tony, the composer, has become a very tight friend and collaborator in the last 5 years. Like I said, Tim and I have been working together longer than some of our viewers have been alive. And Jessica was outstanding. And just the fact that, like I said, buddy, I hadn't really made those connections here in Florida or Jacksonville. And I put the post up, and Jessica happens to live in Florida, but she's still about 4 hours away from me. So we were able to shoot.
State. It's a big state.
It's a huge state. So we were able to shoot at a location that was convenient for everybody, pretty much. But still, I mean, she had to make the sacrifice to get out there. And
yeah, there are pretty sure there are lakes in Florida that are the same size as Rhode Island.
Jacksonville, the city, is about 2/3 the size of Rhode Island, and times it feels even bigger. So there was a lot of work into this, buddy. But like you said, did we enjoy it? Yeah, I had a great time.
Yeah, and that's my point, Mike. Again, you spent $1,500 out of your pocket on this, and it gave you basically like a year's worth of, and I don't want to call it entertainment, because it's not like we're sitting here playing around entertaining ourselves with making movies. It's not entertaining, it's hard work, but you love doing it, so you don't mind putting in that work. And as artists, we want to if I don't have something to tinker with as a project, like I lose my friggin' mind. Sometimes I have too many projects that I'm tinkering with at once that it almost gets distracting, but I need a lot going on to kind of satisfy that scratch that creative itch. So my point is, you spend $1,500 on something like this, it gives you a year's worth of creative targeting, if you will, to work on something or less. Like I said, Mike obviously was working on other projects. He's paying the regular bills, as they say, but if you really just plowed on this thing, it would take you like a month to put something like this together. So my point is, we would think nothing of, taking golf lessons, and that would cost a lot more than $1,500, or, whatever occupation, hobby you want to call it. You'd think nothing of spending, $100 a shot every time you want to go and get your hair done sometimes. So hey, why not spend that money on something that you love to do, that you can create, that can live on? I mean, this can sound, it almost sounds corny because you hear it so goddamn much, but this shit lives on forever. You know what I mean? Like that time that Mike spent working with, his, who was the co-filmmaker?
Tim Labonte.
Yeah, the time spent with Tim and working with Jessica, the actor, on the, that's, literally just, in the grand scheme of things, a drop in the bucket of time. But now you have this piece forever, and anytime you want to pull it up, send it to someone, show it to someone, play it, screen it, put it in the festival, it's there forever. So you spent $1,500, but man, you get your longevity out of it. Let's see here. Kim says that would be great. Thanks. Yeah, I'll send you the message. We'll get to, they say playing chess is like lifting weights for your brain. All right. Jessica says, thank you. It was an honor to be able to be a part of this film. It really was a cool piece. Rising Storm Training Academy says, cool. Gives it the thumbs up. Thank you, brother. We appreciate that. And yeah, hey, we say this on the show all the time, but you really do have to invest in yourself if you want to be successful in this crazy world of making movies. Whether you're an actor, writer, director, there's going to come a time where you're going to have to draw that line in the sand and basically tell yourself, like, well, shit, no one's going to come here and hand this to me, huh?
Right.
I've been doing this for a minute now, and I'm not quite where I want to be. So you know what? You got to invest in yourself. And that's what Mike did here. And I think that, you can never go wrong if you do that. It's always gonna pay off. You're always gonna learn something.
Well, Tommy, you articulated it quite well, but the reality, buddy, is in a lot of ways this was serving three masters at once, maybe four. It's a proof of concept for a feature film, because there is a feature film script that this monologue is taken from. It's a proof of concept for a stage play, because the same story I've written as a stage play. It's a proof of concept for the aforementioned novel, which they call it a book teaser. There's actually a thing now, buddy, they call them book teasers. If you make something like this or anything, you call it a book teaser, where you're promoting your book, because people hate to read. Like I love audio books, but to actually sit and read a book. But you can make a book teaser which can apply to your same audio book or paperback, hardcover, whatever. And the final thing, buddy, that you kind of experienced it as is basically a short film. So, I mean, that's what book, movie, stage, teasers, and then a short film. So that's four things that this, investment serves in one shot.
Well, that's a great way to look at it, Mike, and a great way to get a lot of mileage out of that 1,500 that you planked down for it. So I think that's great. Again, this was a really fun format. I really enjoyed, just kind of playing something for everybody and taking a little bit of a different twist on our film discussions here. So we're going to do this more. Like I said, if you have any suggestions on things that you'd like to see us watch together, you can feel free to go through my catalog of films. One of these days, it'd be fun to do like a watch along. Maybe we do a watch along of a whole film that I did, and we'll put our little faces in the box on the bottom so that we can kind of director's commentary that shit and kind of just go through the whole project together. And man, that would be fun. So let's think about these. You know what these are, guys? These are fun ideas for the new year, because guess what? We've only got like one more show on the docket, and then it's going to be pretty much 2024. Can you imagine that? So next episode, I'm pretty excited about. We're going to be talking about our goals for 2024, movie goals for the new year. And we're going to be talking about our acting goals, our writing goals, directing goals. Maybe by then I'll even have a little bit of an announcement. Like I said, there's a movie that I've been working. Honestly, I'm gonna come out and say this, and I had this notion the other day, and I wanted to really think about it. I wanted to really make sure that I'm not bullshitting, because I vowed to bullshit less and less. I'll never completely stop bullshitting. It's impossible for me, but I'm trying to be more truthful with everything I say as I, approach 2024. And I think that this is the hardest I've ever worked on a movie in my life in the prep process. The movie that I'm about to go make, fingers crossed, which I hope I can have an announcement for next week or maybe the week after. We'll see. But my point is, I feel like something great is on the horizon because I've never worked this hard in my life on something. And I can almost see every frame of this film before I even turn a camera on. So I'm excited for what the new year will bring. And yeah, we're going to have some fun announcements. But next week, we're talking all about our goals. So here's what I want you and action fans, faithful friends to do. I want you to come next week with a set of at least one goal that you have for next year. Because, man, these fucking years fly by. I feel like we were just sitting here talking about 2023 10 minutes ago. So let's help each other out. We got a nice community here. Let's keep it going. Let's support each other's shit here. Let's all just kind of come next week with something we can drop down in the comments, a goal for next year, whether it's I want to have my first speaking line in a movie. I want to finish that screenplay. Whatever the fuck that goal is, I want you to come with it next week. I want you to drop it down in the comments, and we're going to talk about it because next week it's all about goals for 2024. Now, before we go, guys, I just want to remind you, if you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel. We have a lot of fun content. I just directed a movie called The Last Tenant, which was a blast. I haven't had this much fun directing a movie in a while, and I'm really pleased with the way it came out. So with that said, I've posted a ton of behind-the-scenes clips, a lot of great shorts, getting a lot of traction. So go over to my YouTube channel, which you're actually technically on right now, and go look at those short clips. I got a lot of fun behind-the-scenes stuff. Everybody loves BTS. And I'm not talking about the boy band, although everybody loves them too. And, in closing, I just want to say shout out to Knockout Blonde, a documentary film, which I co-wrote and co-directed. That movie just won Best Documentary at the I Am Film Festival in London. It tells the story of boxing promoter Kelly Maloney and her triumphant, really inspirational story. It's a great film. Verdi Productions kind of does it again. They've been carving out a really nice niche of making some just really classy documentary films. Remember, we also did My Father, Muhammad Ali, which came out last year. If you haven't checked that one out, punch it in your Google machine. So Knockout Blonde is now 2-0 to use because it's got a little boxing backdrop. It's now 2-0 in film festivals. Knockout Blonde is undefeated in the festival circuit and just continues to build a lot of buzz. And I hope that we get news on a distribution deal for that movie soon so that everybody can see it. Because that's, obviously, it's bittersweet. You win a film festival. What do you think the first people, what do you think the first thing everybody says is, oh my God, that's great. Congratulations. I can't wait to see it. Where can I see it? And then you're like, well, it's not out yet. You see, we're doing the festival thing in order to build up more pop for the eventual release. But, hey, that said, I ain't complaining. We'll take the wins. So let's keep the wins coming. I'll keep everyone posted on where that film is at because I love this documentary. And who knows, someday, I wrote a really terrific narrative script for the movie as well. So I hope, man, I'll tell you what, if I had a genie that popped out of a lamp right now and it was a movie genie, this is movie genie specific. This isn't general life genie because obviously I'm not stupid. I'm going for the fucking cash in real life. Going for cash, mind control. My 3 wishes would be cash, mind control, and wish for more wishes. Everybody knows that's the gimmick. But if I had 3 movie wishes of like, hey, what movies would you love to make in a dream scenario? This would be one of them. Knockout Blonde, making Knockout Blonde would be certainly one of those movies that I pick. Can we get a movie genie? Wouldn't that be great if a genie could just come out of a lamp and finance 3 films for you?
Well, buddy, I was just, for whatever reason, I was just thinking of who would be a great person to play Kelly Maloney. And unfortunately, the person that I think would be perfect is no longer with us. Philip Seymour Hoffman would nail this part to the wall, man. But there's many
Well,
great actors out there.
yeah, I think it's important for us to cast a transgender actor in this movie. It's a transgender story. I think that's where I would lead it. But there's no question. It's funny you mentioned Philip Seymour Hoffman. I just watched such a great Philip Seymour Hoffman movie called God's Pocket. One of
Okay.
these it's a movie that came out like in 2012, 2013. It's got John Turturro, Philip Seymour Hoffman, Richard Jenkins, who I just absolutely love. And it's just so fucking dark, man. It's called God's Pocket. You can check it out on Tubi, streaming for free. So if you want to watch a movie that'll entertain the fuck out of you and also make you be like, whoa, that was not exactly light fare. Like I watched it on a Saturday afternoon and with my friend Sam and kind of watched the movie and we were just like, we were in a good mood. We were watching Baywatch and having laughs and we watched God's Pocket. We looked at each other. We were like, shit, that was dark.
Yeah.
But hey, that's what movies are meant to give you emotions. Let's see here. Robert Marsala, what's up, bud? What's up, brother? I think Robert has a genie lamp. He's got a genie for us. Now, if only that genie had some cash, we could make some movies here. Well, there you go, guys. That pretty much winds us down here. This has been a really fun show. Mike, congratulations again.
Thanks, buddy.
Thank you. If you've watched along this far, God bless you, and we appreciate you hanging in there with us. Like I said, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, turn your notification bell on. Check out everything that Mike has going on. Mike is doing a lot of exciting things. If you like this movie that we watched today, maybe you should
Get the book.
Grab that book and go a little deeper into it.
And
there was a line in that movie that I really liked, man. It was a bar, and if I'm paraphrasing it or if I'm butchering it, correct me. But it's like I love it with the love so much that it hurts everyone.
Yeah, I wish we had Jessica on, but you got it. The line is,
I love so much. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'll give it to you. I'm loving you. I'm loving you so much that it hurts everybody.
Yeah, that was a fucking bar, man.
Thanks.
That one hit home, brother. So great stuff. This is a great movie. Very proud of you, Mike. Keep them coming.
Thanks, buddy.
Thanks for watching along, everybody. And we look forward to seeing you next week with our goals for 2024 episode. So don't forget, I want you to remember your goals and bring them next week. And we're going to drop them down in the comments and discuss.
Let me say this, Tommy. If the audience wants to do a little homework, today is what, December 12th or 13th, something like that. If 12th. They want to, today's the 12th. So if you have 7 days, audience, if you're with us, work on your goal. Maybe, and if whatever you're comfortable sharing, let's put that caveat. So if you've got something you're comfortable sharing, whether it's about your professional life or whatever, if you're comfortable sharing that goal, bring it to the table next week and maybe we'll analyze and give some encouragement. And just one last thing, Tommy, I know a few people like Robert joined us late. You can always rewind to the beginning of this episode once it's on Tom DiNucci YouTube channel and watch from the beginning because we share the short film. And there's a few projects of yours, Tommy, I'd like to do this interaction with too, namely Slimebuck, I think would be great. And I think some of your behind-the-scenes footage that you've been collecting over the years, over your feature films, that would be great too, to put some of the behind-the-scenes footage up here from your feature film. So we can
that would be great. It'd be great to put kind of like a name to the face of all the shit that we've been talking about for these last, year or two here. Couple last comments here before we go. Jessica says, so many conversations about that line specifically. Yeah, it's a great line, man. Really great line. I can almost see that line like on a fucking t-shirt or like on a, you know what that line reminds me of? It's like one of those memes that you read that, people post up when they're like, I have something to say, but I'm going to let the meme do the talking. Ariana says it's a great line. It really is. Great line, great movie. Great episode, guys. Thanks a lot. We'll see you next week.